Alrighty, I hope everyone was able to join. If not, they'll join in. We have our great support from Anna in the back, so she'll be able to let attendees in. Wanted to introduce ourselves. My name is Marilyn Sines, Grant Portfolio Associate here within the Forestry Team, specifically leading the Cultivating Roots Project alongside Northern Chumash Tribal Council. So really excited for this webinar. And we'll also want to let attendees know if you'd like to listen in Spanish, you can use the globe at the bottom. Para todos que desean escuchar en español, tenemos una línea de traducción con nuestra traductora Natalia. Para entrar, selecciona el icono del globo en la parte de abajo, se ve como un mundo pequeño en la pantalla y presiona español. Cualquier duda o pregunta que puedan tener, nos pueden mandar un mensaje y los podemos ayudar. And to get us started, I'd like to welcome our Chief of Programs, Patricia Patron.
Thank you, Marilyn. Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be with you. And on behalf of the Hispanic Access Foundation, I want to thank you for joining us for this important conversation. As Marilyn said, I'm Patricia Patron, and I have the honor of serving as the Chief of Programs at Hispanic Access. Today's session brings together partners, practitioners, community leaders who share a commitment to healthier, more resilient environments, especially in communities that have been historically left out of funding and support for urban forestry. I want to start by grounding us on the purpose of our Nuestros Bosques, our forestry program. Our initiatives are aimed at increasing tree canopy in hard-to-reach, underserved communities by providing meaningful resources, practical knowledge, and tools to plant and maintain native and non-invasive trees. These projects are not just about planting trees, though. They are about strengthening communities and supporting community engagement. Throughout our sub-granting work with local, municipal, tribal, and faith-based partners, we are supporting organizations that are already making a difference on the ground by expanding access to urban canopy and sharing the health benefits that come with it, such as reducing urban heat, improving air quality, providing safer outdoor environments, and improving well-being. We're helping communities build resilience today and for generations to come. I also want to share a brief vision of our partnership with the Northern Chumash Tribal Council, NCTC. Together, we have launched a project that expands tree canopy while creating powerful opportunities for community-based education on urban forestry practices. This work includes the strategic planting of native and fruit-bearing trees and the employment of Chumash community members, honoring cultural knowledge, stewardship, and self-determination as essential elements of conservation. We believe deeply that when we combine ecological science, cultural wisdom, and community leadership, the impact is transformative. With that, I am honored to introduce Chairwoman Violet Sage Walker, Tribal Chair of the Northern Chumash Tribal Council. Violet is a respected leader whose work is grounded in a long family legacy of protecting the land, waters, culture, and ancestors of the Chumash people. Her deep expertise, community advocacy, and stewardship continue to shape a stronger, more connected future for the Central Coast. Violet was recently recognized by the Time magazine as one of 100 climate leaders in 2025. Welcome, Violet.
You. Buenas tardes, bienvenidos, Aku. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. Our partnership with Hispanic Access Foundation, as you mentioned, and as we all know, has been one of the leading causes for the designation of the Chumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary, one of the most progressive and largest marine sanctuary campaigns ever in the United States. And our partnership continues today with this Cultivating Roots. And this program has been a blessing to our family, to our tribe, to our community. And I really look forward to all of the things that this will provide for us through education, through outreach, through sustainability, and through climate resiliency. And so I'm really proud to partner once again on this new project, Cultivating Roots. And I appreciate our long-standing relationships, and the good work that we have been doing is truly inspiring. Thank you for joining us, and looking forward to hearing the presentation with you all, and would love to welcome you all to the ranch someday to see this in person. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Violet. I am also thrilled to introduce our speaker for today's webinar, Jeanette Acosta, joining us on behalf of the Northern Chumash Tribal Council. Jeanette is a specialist in traditional ecological knowledge with extensive expertise in permaculture, sustainable land practices, and regenerative solutions. She has dedicated her career to showing how traditional knowledge systems and ecological design can work together to restore landscapes and strengthen the connection to the natural world. Her insights will bring depth and inspiration to our discussion today. Welcome, Jeanette.
Thank you. Buenas tardes to everybody. I'm very grateful to be here today. I thank Chairwoman Violet Sage Walker for inviting me and including me to be part of this project, and deep thanks to Maite and everyone at Hispanic Access Foundation for working so hard the last couple of years to bring this project to fruition. And it's my honor to be with you today and to share some of what I know and what I've done for NCTC and Halama Valley Ranch alongside Hispanic Access Foundation, and the opportunity of this grant to provide a better world for everyone. We've partnered in educating urban forestry practices, and the collaboration helps to create just that canopy, the water resiliency, and everything needed to, in such a difficult world that we have today, that we can make it more beautiful despite the dysfunction amongst the things that we face. So I'm going to share my screen to share an introductory film footage. So if you'll pardon me for just a moment, I'm going to share this with you all now. And can you see that okay? And I'll run this film footage.
Halama Valley Ranch, NCTC proudly presents, in partnership with Hispanic Access Foundation, a groundbreaking initiative that honors land, culture, and community. This moment is unlike anything that has ever happened in California. For the first time, Chumash knowledge, community, partnership, and regenerative practices are coming together to transform a dry landscape into a thriving ecosystem. One powerful element of this effort, a living food forest, where the community can plant, harvest, and reconnect with land. Native trees, fruit-bearing trees, water capture systems, care led by our people. This project will restore soil, rebuild habitat, and create a sustainable food system rooted in our ancestral teachings. What is beginning here will shape the land for generations. Follow us and click the link in our bio to learn how you can get involved.
Okay, let me stop the share on that and get back to you. So when it comes to tribal food sovereignty, it's our inherent birthright to control our own food systems so that we have access to healthy food, healthy water, healthy air, our connection to our natural resources is never separate from our culture. And it provides the well-being for our physical, spiritual, and mental and community well-being. So the efforts when it comes to our traditional agricultural way of life, our restoration of our indigenous food-based systems, and the advocacy for policy changes to support these goals, that's food sovereignty. It's about our self-determination, our cultural preservation, our land and resource tending of our areas, our traditional ecologically sound practices, local control of what we want to grow and have access to, and to have the nourishment that has provided our health and well-being since the beginning of time. And during COVID-19 pandemic, we saw that scarcity model affected our communities very deeply. Food banks had a very difficult time keeping up with providing food. School children didn't have food. Sometimes going to school was the only way they could have access to food because families didn't have enough at home. And now, the rising food prices, food shortages, lockdowns, and funding restrictions are making food scarcity worse once again. And so through Hispanic Access Foundation and Northern Chumash Tribal Council, Bosque's program, together, this project at Halama Valley Ranch created community engagement by planting across communities nationwide, and in particular in Chumash territory in Lompoc, California. So I'm going to give you another share so I can show you what I'm talking about. And can you see this? Okay, that good? I wanted to provide you orientation. So if you are looking at California, the little red dot there, just above Los Angeles, that's where Lompoc is. And if we were to go to downtown Lompoc, this is how you would travel to get to Halama Valley Ranch. I just want to provide orientation. And this is a bird's eye view of Halama Valley Ranch. It's a 20-acre parcel, and it's where Chairwoman Violet Sage Walker and her family, they are horse people and specialize in the Arabian horse breed. So this is why they acquired this parcel, NCTC. The other part of knowing where we are in the world is to also know our watershed. And so here is where the ranch is. And in this section here, can you see my pointer? And Sabata Canyon Road is ephemeral tributary, which means like it only fills up when it rains. And you can see the watershed blue lines here. And so when you look at a topographic map, it indicates that if you have an ephemeral tributary, that means that you're dependent on rainwater to have life come to your place. So also too, it's surrounded by large scale agriculture, and we're part of the Santa Ynez River watershed from the Santa Ynez River Valley Basin. So this is me with Violet's horse named Dazzlin. This is the first time we got to meet her, and she's one of our darlings on the farm. This is my long bio, but I want to feature Joseph Hudson. He's so handsome, and he is in charge of our youth corps. He's the director, our youth director, and so he works hard every day to work on this ranch and helps to make it a beautiful place and encourages our youth to be a part of it. He's currently studying anthropology at Hancock College. And then this is our team photo. And these are like the core group that helped to plan what took place recently during our Friendsgiving Day at Halama. So the first thing we did was a site analysis. I don't just teach permacultura, but I teach in decolonized indigenous permaculture or agroecology. And permaculture is really just a new word for our old way of being. It's a traditional ecological knowledge. And when I teach it, I always tell my students that I'm really not here to teach you, and I'm here today with you to not teach you either, but we come together so that we help each other remember, right? So I'm just here to help us remember the core values of what it means to do well with one another and with the earth. And part of the process of when you work on a landscape is to really, our traditional ecological process was just to be extremely observant. Remember when we didn't have social media, we didn't have like electronics. Back in the day, our television, when the sun went down, was we'd lay on our backs and we'd watch the stars. And, the stars were our television. That's why our calendars were formed, and why we knew how to track time was by watching upstairs all the time, right? So when I come to a landscape, what I do is I observe from a very macro level to a micro level. So the macro level is understanding the aspects. How does the sun travel through this place? Where are the shadows? What does the wind feel like here? How wet or how dry is it here? How does water move through this place during a very rainy event? So those are the aspects. And the other observations too are like what we call zones. And it's not like, you live in a single family residence zone, or you live in a multi-family commercial, or you're in a commercial industrial site zone. The zones are like where this team meeting is. This is an oak tree, and like would be zone 1, where we gather and we meet and we like hanging out under this oak tree. It's utilized. And then the zones further out are the places that you hardly touch, right? So you kind of observe how the land is being used, how often, when, and where. And then after that, you start mapping. And that's how holistic design works in harmony with nature. So this is the bird's eye view of Halama Valley Ranch. And you can see the topography. It's on a slope, and it looks dry because it's quite sandy there. And then we did that macro level analysis of location, climate, watershed sectors. And then I did a micro level analysis of the topography, the slopes, what type of soil, what grows there, who lived there before any of us, water, structures, and the history. Then mapping started to take place. And one of the critical aspects of, before you put plants in the ground, plants are like the cherry on the cake, the sprinkles that make everything fun and enjoyable to look at and enjoyable to touch, right? But before we can grow anything, it's really important to understand how those aspects of wind, water, air, fire, the sun, like how it moves through the soil. And so part of Halama Valley Ranch is very dry. And so we did a water audit, because we're using a lot of water for the horses to make sure that they're well cared for, but also because of the slope, water was running off and creating a lot of rilling and damage. You know, like how the Grand Canyon was formed? Well, that's like eons and eons of like water damage, right? And so there were areas where water was just running off. And with water, there's an ism by my friend Brock Dolman, who is one of the co-founders of the Occidental Arts Ecology College or Center. He has a saying that when it comes to water, we have to slow it, spread it, sink it, store it, share it, right? And right now, water was just like running away. And so we needed to figure out where it was running away to and how to slow it down, how to spread it, and how to store it. And so this map reflects the preliminary watershed map and how we were going to capture it and store it onto the property. And this was created by Josh Carmichael from Land Use Consulting and Design, Carmichael Environment. So he was one of the volunteers that helped us create the water map. And from there, we were able to start figuring out how are we going to slow down. And there's a tool that I showed Joseph how to use, and it teaches you about topography and it's basically an A-frame. It's like having a laser level without a laser level. We would make the A-frame and we would tie typically a string and a rock so that we would know what was level. But because we have a little bit of a technology, I put a leveler on the A-frame to make the line on the A so we could find center all the time. And so this is me and Joseph, and we are looking at the contour, and I'm marking it with spray can. And this is how we were going to decide where the orange trees were going to be planted. When you find the contour line, that's how you can spread water evenly across the landscape. And so, you know how, like when you see a lake bed and there's drought and then you see those lines drop on the side of the mountain, well, that's because water always seeks level. So when the water drops, the next 10 feet will be marked on the side of the mountain, and then the next 10 feet will be marked. And so here, without having water on site, the level tells us where water is running and how to find that contour line on the topography so that if we were to dig a swale or a ditch, and when water flows into that ditch or that swale, water will not run away, but it will fill up the ditch very evenly. And so throughout the landscape, that's what we did. So here's an example of what the A-frame looked like. And this is Joseph helping me find contour and learning how to use this tool. And then we marked this area on the landscape, and we marked where the trees were going to go. And then throughout the pasture, we also did a slight line on contour so that when it rained downslope, this orange line was then made into a roadway that was not too deep, otherwise the horses would trip. But when it rained, it would stop the water from running away, but would sink evenly across the landscape. And then here's an example of after we had did the contour, then Joseph hand dug the line. So you see the ditch here and you see the berm. So by creating the little hill, which is the berm, the water flows into the ditch or the swale, and then the berm collects it and stops it and absorbs it like a sponge. And then we also, while figuring out the contour lines, we decided that we were going to create a water pond. Oops. that was very brief. And so Violet got her wish, and she got a big pond created on the landscapes to be even more water resilient. And so the result is all these areas marked here are where we planted the trees that we were blessed with through the grant with Hispanic Access Foundation. And the legend on the left, like we planted a citrus grove of lemons, Meyer lemons, oranges, limes, bananas, cherry trees, elderberry trees, and sage. And I'll go into that a little bit more closely. Excuse me. Okay, so this is the close-up of the map of the citrus grove. And then this is what we did once we found contour. You can see all the swales, the ditches, and the berms after we had prepared the land to receive these relatives onto the landscape. And then this is what it looked like after we planted. And so the preparation of the land is to receive the relatives are very important. And then community came, and we called it Friendsgiving Day, and planted this portion. You know, people chose what portion they wanted to plant at. And you can see no tree lives alone, just like no person should live alone. And there's always a community around us. And with trees, there's always a community around a tree. And so part of the community that we placed around the citrus trees were like aloe vera. And there'll be sage understory plants and other herbal plants as well. And this is Joseph directing the youth that day. Okay, and this is the cherry and manzanita grove in this part. This is the close-up. And this is what it looked like before. As you can see, it's pretty barren. And then we prepared the site on contour, again, preparing the areas where the trees were going to be planted. And then community came and had the best time. This person here hunched over, putting something into the ground, that's Violet's mom. She's over 70 years old. And everybody's like really into it. It was such a beautiful day. And they went around the fence, just like the map indicated. And this is the morning after everybody planted. This should have been shown. This is when they were just putting them in. And then this was the result the following day. Okay. This one here is an apple grove that's very close to where the horses and the babies, the ponies and the fillies, they pasture here, or when they're first born. So we wanted to make sure that they had apple trees so they would have treats also. And this is the community planting down that row. And this is the morning after the apple trees were planted. Now, this area here is near our Techmar school, Traditional Ecological Knowledge school that was recently installed by Chairwoman Walker and was named in honor of one of our late elders, Gloria Leggett. And even though sage is not a tree, Salvia apiana or white sage is culturally a very important plant for us on the coast. It's like planting ruda by your door, right? It's protection, it's love for our ancestors. It's we use it for prayers all the time. It's fragrant, it's medicinal. And so it was very important for us to have that representation on the property. And so here's a photo of all the white sage plants, and other sages came that day as well. And here's a photo of the little school behind, and we're distributing the plants to be planted on what we now call Sage Hill. And, you know, people were very excited to like make this medicine hill for the future. And there again, there's Violet's mom just getting into it. And it was such a good day. The beautiful part about Sage Hill being planted was there was so much intergenerational teachings happening with the children. This is a great uncle, my partner Roger Valverde, with his grandnephew, Austin, and he's teaching him about how to take it out of the pot properly and how to properly put it in the ground. And then it was just all the children had so much fun planting the medicine on this hill, and the parents, and it was I keep reiterating a beautiful day. And before we started, we had a circle and started and blessed everyone with the white sage. And this is Violet doing that for us. And the plants and the trees were distributed all over the property. Everyone was so excited to be together and hands in the ground, just having the best time, feeling fulfilled and connected. This is a basket weaver plant as one of the companions, and all the puppies were allowed to. Here's more photos. Everybody was provided a planting plan, and mothers and daughters, friends, family. That's Violet with Callie. And just so many people showed up. I think over 70 people showed up for the day. And we tried to document as much as we could and how happy everyone was. And then part of it too was whenever we gather, everyone must be fed, right? And so the people of the Southern Sierra Miwok recently had a salmon run, and they provided salmon for everyone that day. And we were able to feed over 100 people that day with salmon, and lots of food, barbacoa, healthy, abundance, elders, feeling tired but good after a job well done on the site. The puppies running around everywhere, and just community and communing was really the theme of the day. And we plan to make interpretive signs for everything that got planted. And it was just, I guess you need to have been there, to been part of the party. But it was more than a party. It was planting the future. It was planting joy. It was planting health. It was planting opportunity for people who have never planted before. And Roger's grandnephew, his mom wrote to me a few days later, and apparently he had harvested some acorns that were on the ground and brought them home with him without telling his mom, because he wanted a memory from that day, to bring home with him from the farm. he had never pet a horse before, and so it was a delight for all the children. There were so many. They were on swings, they were making faces at the camera, they were squishing their hands into the salmon and helping the guy cut the salmon up. They were planting just so much, so many memories, and really, is that not what life is about? Is to be a good story, to make good memories together, and to know that we're we're living life in the best way we know how, and we're doing our best to make this earth a better place. And we couldn't have done it, like Northern Chumash Tribal Council and Chairwoman Violet Sage Walker could not have done this without the support of Maite and Hispanic Access Network and the support of elders and community. And I just want to thank you all so very much for including me and inviting me and giving me the opportunity to be a part of this very important project. And I'm here to take any questions or listen to any remarks.
Thank you, Jeanette. Yes, we encourage anyone to ask questions away in the chat or welcome to raise your hand and kind of be front and center to ask those questions. Yes, Miss Layla.
There's a question how the plants were decided on. So we decided on first, you only eat what you love. So it's important to plant what you love so that you'll eat it, right? And because we only serve love on our plates and serve love to one another. But the important factor too was to create a California native plant habitat for the ranch, and to choose plants that were drought tolerant, drought resilient, that provided food and medicine, that could provide natural resources for the future for basket weavers as the understory to the trees. And the trees were chosen for food and medicine. So, for example, there were cherry trees alongside manzanita trees, Arctostaphylos. We chose elderberry, understory shrubs for also food and medicine. So food and medicine was the factor. The total duration of time from start to finish is it depends. We started 2 years ago talking with Hispanic Access Foundation. We waited for the funding. Things happened, things got delayed. And in the meantime, land acquisition took place and planning, understanding. I like to take my time in that observation phase so that the land can speak to me, the land can sing to me and tell me what it needs, and not just a heavy hand on a landscape. So it was really important for me to know the place very well, to understand how water, the story of water there, the story of wind, and the story of the sun, and to understand how they all work together in that place. So start to finish, as far as planning, it takes a minute, and we like to be very careful in our considerations. Where were the plants sourced from and the seeds come from? It's important that when you source seeds, that it's within a 30 to 50 mile radius of any location, because they contain a more resilient DNA that can be acclimated to the place. And plants were locally sourced so that we could support local nurseries, and also from just California native growers. Were we able to tap into existing communities besides the Chumash people? Yes. People traveled from as far south as, I don't know, Violet, like they were pretty far south. They came from everywhere. She advertised it and they came. It's kind of like Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. They came. And what's next for the ranch is more food sovereignty and more towards like animal management. Chairwoman Violet would like to have chickens and goats and a more holistic balance on the property. And to Anna, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure to tell the story. And I'm glad you felt like you were part of the experience. But there were people from everywhere, all many underserved communities, elders from everywhere, people that had a lot of plant knowledge, people that had never even dug a hole to plant a plant. So every area of expertise or non, from beginning to very well seasoned, lots of friends, lots of family, lots of new friends, lots of community from everywhere. There were at least 70 to 100 people that day. And everyone enjoyed themselves and everybody got gifts, everybody got fed, and all those trees got planted. Okay, Monica writes, wonderful presentation. Are there any plans for educational and knowledge-based exchange opportunities for the community to engage in? Yes, we're planning on future education opportunities at the ranch. And when is the next phase? Can we join? We'll have to ask Chair Walker what she's dreaming of next, but there's always a next phase and there's always opportunity to join. Did I experience any challenges in this journey? I think the delays in the funding, and just practicing patience, and then the timing of the acquisition of enough trees to the deliverables for the grant, like those are, whenever you get grant funding, especially if it's state or federal, there's deliverables, there's timelines, there's deadlines, and then you have to like work life towards that. And sometimes when you work in nature doesn't really know that kind of timeline. So it was a matter of finding the balance to make sure that we could deliver what we said we would deliver according to the grant plan. I'm sure Marilyn can attest to that, and Patricia too. Sandy says, please follow us on Facebook for future opportunities. So Sandy, do you want to type in like whatever Facebook page? I'm not on social media at all, but you can always find me through Chairwoman Violet. Was this a one-time grant or over multiple years? I believe, Marilyn, this was a one-time grant, correct? Yes, according to Marilyn, it was a one-time grant. We made it just like right under the radar. And there's links there now for Facebook to connect with NCTC in the future in the chat if y'all want to stay connected.
And there's a question that says, is there anything you would have done differently?
I could answer that, Jeanette.
Go ahead.
I finally got to park. I was in traffic, sorry. This grant was the start of a dream that we had a long time ago, and for whatever way it worked out, that the delays happened over the last year, 2 years, was a blessing because we didn't have the land to be able to implement something like this on until recently. And so it's the beginning of creating the space that we dream and our own culture can thrive and that we can teach from, and that this started um, a dream that started, generations ago. And getting back to the land and getting on the land and taking care of the land and living sustainably on the land and thriving, and how to make this small farm thrive is really what Cultivating Roots was about for us. And um, for um, for all the delays that we had in the short time frame, one of the challenges was that we only had 3 months to implement this whole entire grant and from start to finish. And we had a team of people working on this, making sure that it would come to fruition. That was amazing, and people that really believe in this. And we needed a place to showcase who we are and what we're about. And so this is the beginning. This is sinking into the ground, so to speak, our future. And so the future of the ranch is going to blossom like the trees and grow and be a place for everybody, for community, and for future classes, and for future learning experiences and teaching. And I can't wait to bring everybody back to the land when we finally get to see the benefits of this. And by way of benefits is being able to harvest and being able to touch and walk through these forests and be able to see them grow and change the land. And so this is just the start of a dream that we had, and it's the dream of our ancestors coming true too. So it's really a beautiful thing.
I think those were the only questions left. But
think
Alicia,
there was
take it away.
there was a couple questions here about the story map.
Oh,
From
yes.
Amy.
I know Miss Jeanette mentioned that we will make sure, absolutely, we have everyone within our presentation registered and your emails, so we will make sure to send over the presentations afterwards.
Thank you so much, Violet and Jeanette, and we absolutely are honored to have the opportunity to work with you on this project. You're absolutely right. It was something of a miracle, I think, in terms of how the funding came and how this got figured out and executed. And we're looking forward to more opportunities to collaborate with the Chumash and with you. Um, thank you, Janet, for sharing your wisdom and expertise and such beautiful pictures and presentation and the story behind it, because that's what makes it real. We really appreciate your work. I want to thank the entire Northern Chumash Tribal Council team for your partnership and your commitment to this work. Together, we're demonstrating what is possible when federal funding, community organizations, and cultural knowledge come together on a common purpose. We're very, very grateful. I also want to thank everyone that joined us today. Your presence reflects a growing movement of people who understand how important this work is. We're committed to expanding tree canopy, restoring our natural environments, and this is not just environmental work, as you could all tell through Janet's presentation. This is really about our communities, our mental health, our physical health, creating climate resilience. And at the end of the day, it's about justice work. And we're so grateful to have the opportunity to see these projects come to fruition. I encourage you to stay engaged on our forestry work and to continue strengthening green spaces in your own communities. If today's conversation sparked any questions or curiosities that were not answered, we would love to hear from you. Marilyn is sharing helpful links and ways to stay connected to our work. We have an amazing network of conservation advocates and also faith-based leaders that care deeply about the health of the earth. So we invite you to also check us out if you're interested in being closely connected to our work. You can also become part of our network, conservation network, and Por la Creación. So the resources that Marilyn shared include links that are useful to find resources on our website, contact information, and opportunities to plug in into our ongoing efforts. Thank you again for your time, your commitment, and your partnership. We really look forward to continuing this work. And that's it from me, Marilyn.
Yeah, muchísimas gracias por la todo. Also, thank you to Natalia for the interpretation. And just thank you to everyone here for attending. I really appreciate your time and all of you. Thanks, Violet.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.